her that I have them call at your house?
But I registered when we moved here last year. Do I have to register again?
You must register before you can vote. You could register with your neighborhood deputy registrar, or you can register at your local courthouse in the office of the Registrar of Voters.
May I help you?
Is this where I register to vote?
Yes. Have you ever voted in the county before?
No, I just moved here the first of the year.
Have you lived in the state for the last 6 months?
Yes.
Have you lived in the county for the past 60 days?
Yes.
Have you lived in your precinct for the last 30 days?
Yes.
All states have residence requirements. Such requirements vary from state to state.
Your name?
David B. Collins.
And your address?
617 Northside Drive.
You're in Precinct 7 and your polling place is Maple Grove School. Where were you born?
Dayton, Ohio.
Your age?
42.
Sign on this line.
When you sign the registration form, you testify that the information on the form is correct. With your signature, this form becomes the official record of your qualification to vote. Loss of registration results from changing your residence and, in some states, from failure to vote or from the periodic expiration of the registration list. If for any of these reasons you lose your registration, you must re-register. When you cannot register in person, you may register by mail. Upon application, a registration form is mailed to you. When properly filled out and returned to the registrar, it is entered with the other official registration records. These individual records are used to make up the voting list. Only the persons whose names are on the completed voting list are qualified to receive a ballot on Election Day. Ballots may be different in color, size, shape, and detail from state to state. But the ballot you receive on Election Day will probably be one of two general types. The party column type, sometimes called the Indiana ballot, or the office group type, sometimes called the Massachusetts ballot. On paper ballots of the office group type, the candidates are listed under the heading of the office they are seeking. Their party affiliations usually follow their names. On the voting machine, the office heading is also above the name of the party candidate. However, on the party column ballot, you will find a different arrangement. On this type of ballot, the candidates' names are listed in a column under their party heading. This arrangement of candidates' names is the same as on the voting machine, except that on the paper ballot, the party column reads vertically. On the machine panel, the party column reads horizontally. The details of marking ballots vary from state to state. However, instructions are clearly stated on every ballot. Read them carefully and follow them exactly. Special voting instructions may be given for some sections of the ballot. They refer only to that part of the ballot. The ballots of most states provide blank squares beside each candidate's name. To vote for a candidate, make a cross X within the square opposite his name. A properly marked ballot might look like this. Some states provide a special means of making your mark, such as this rubber stamp. The proper marking equipment for your state will be supplied by the officials at the polls. Ballots may be disqualified in many states if a check or a plus mark is used. Even the cross X may be disqualified if the lines do not cross inside the square, if the lines do not cross to complete an X, or if they extend outside the square. Here is the accepted mark for your ballot. You may vote a split ticket or a straight ticket. Voting a straight ticket means that you vote for all the candidates of one political party. When you choose candidates from more than one party, you are voting a split or scratch ticket. When marking a split ticket, you must vote for each candidate individually. You may also vote a straight ticket by marking an X after each name. However, on the party column ballot of many states, you may vote a straight ticket by placing a single X within the party name or symbol at the top of the ballot. When you vote in this circle, it is the only mark you need to make, and all of the candidates whose names appear in the column will receive your vote. Many states permit a write-in vote, so that a voter may add a candidate's name to the ballot. Since the techniques for a write-in vary, ask your election board about the correct procedure in your state. A referendum on public measures such as constitutional amendments may be included on the ballot or may be on separate ballots. Read the instructions carefully before you vote on the issue. Machines are used for voting in many places. As on the paper ballot, you can vote either a split or straight ticket. You may have decided to vote a straight ticket. After you have closed the curtains, pull the lever of your party. This action exposes an X by each name of your party's candidates. Your vote is cast when you open the curtains with the operating lever. The tabs are also cleared and the secrecy of your vote is guaranteed. There are two ways of voting a split ticket on the machine. Let's suppose most of the candidates you select belong to one political party. First, pull the operating lever to the opposite position. Next, pull the party lever of that party, which includes the majority of your chosen candidates. Then push up the pointer where you wish to vote for another candidate, and pull down the pointer of your new choice. Before you make a new choice, make sure all the pointers for that office are pushed up. Otherwise, the machine will not allow you to vote for your new choice. Now you have made your selection, but you have not yet voted. You cast your vote only when you pull the operating lever back to its original position. Your vote is then cast, the voting panel is cleared, the curtain is opened, and the booth is ready for the next voter. With the other method of voting a split ticket, you disregard the party lever and make your selections directly from the various parties by pushing down the individual pointers. For a write-in vote, lift the slide above the office and write in the name. Space for special propositions is found near the top of the voting panel. Selection is made by pushing down the proper pointer. Again, by pulling the operating handle, your vote is cast and tabulated on the automatic counters inside of the machine. If you obtain a sample ballot and study it carefully before going to the polls, you can become familiar with the ballot you will use on election day. You would then avoid feeling rushed in situations where election laws limit the time you may use to mark your ballot. On the day of either a primary or general election, you should report to the specified polling place for your precinct, unless you have already been allowed to vote by mail using an absentee ballot. The location of your polling place and the hours for voting are publicly announced before Election Day. If you have any questions, you may call your local election board or the local headquarters of your political party. After your name has been checked on the voting list, you may enter the polls. Only persons voting and election officials are allowed inside the polls. This is a closed primary election. When you sign for your ballot, you must declare a party affiliation. After you have received a ballot naming all the candidates seeking your party's nominations, go directly to a vacant booth to make your selections. Read the instructions carefully and make the appropriate marks. In some states, you are allowed to take your sample ballot into the booth. If you should spoil a ballot, return it with an explanation to the election official.
Hello everyone, I am Joshua William Gelb and welcome to Theater in Quarantine. It's Monday, November 2nd and it is 9 o'clock here in New York City. Happy Election Eve. Thank you for tuning in and joining me for this very special night before the election edition of Closet Works presented by the Invisible Dog Art Center. It's been a little over 7 months now since I converted this closet in my East Village apartment, measuring just 4 feet wide by 8 feet tall and only 2 feet deep, into the white box digital performance laboratory we call Theater in Quarantine. With creative director Katie Rose McLaughlin, we've created over 10 different live stream performances through a variety of institutional partnerships and supporters and an ever-expanding roster of collaborators. This season, we're being presented by the Invisible Dog Art Center, by Theater Me Too through their Expansion Works program, and we're also resident artists at La Mama and Culture Hub as part of their Experiments in Digital Storytelling program. We're here every other Monday at 7 and 9, and later this fall we'll be bringing you new works from Madeline George on November 16th and Heather Christian on December 14th. So please subscribe to this channel to stay up to date on all of our upcoming performances. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by November 15th, so please spread the word. The performance tonight runs about 20 minutes, and a warning, there is strobe in today's show. Now, afterwards, I'll be hanging around with choreographers Sunny Hitt, Veronica Jiao, and Katie Rose McLaughlin to discuss the process of putting together this evening. We'll also answer any questions you might have, so make sure to drop them in the chat. Below, in the description, you'll find a link for our Fractured Atlas page where you can make a donation. All donations go directly to tonight's choreographers and designers, so please consider helping support this work and these artists who make this work possible. Please consider donating $10 if you can. Your support on any level is greatly appreciated. Lastly, we are so happy that you are here with us tonight. Now, both in the chat and throughout the show, we'll be offering some concrete actions you can take to offer support at the polls and to help get out the vote. And one final reminder that what you are about to see is not Zoom theater. This isn't a film. This is live performance in this closet right behind me. So, let's get started. I'm going to take a brief 1-minute break so I can get into places. Thank you again, and enjoy Closet Works, Volume 6.
Cool. That looks cool. Can you, oh, wrong part of the phrase. How does this start? Arm circle, grab, boom, open, flip, shoulder, 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 fingertips. Yeah, I feel like I'm getting so metaphysical. How fast can it move? Like if I elbow it, where does it go?
I'd have to time it all out, but you know, it can move very fast.
Okay. How to make you like larger than life, and then kind of like as I come in from behind, how do I condense you into something?
But you're right.
Awesome.
There's something really fun about like, yeah, playing with.
Don't break yourself. If we were to rotate so that the closet looked horizontal, is there a way that it would make it look like you were laying down?
You bet there is.
Yeah, I figured.
You know, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Can we start with the closet horizontal? It's just so good.
Yeah, it was this.
Oh, that's lovely. Whenever you're ready.
Machines are used for voting in many places. As on the paper ballot, you can vote either a split or straight ticket. You may have decided to vote a straight ticket. After you have closed the curtains, pull the lever of your party. This action exposes an X by each name of your party's candidates. Your vote is cast when you open the curtains with the operating lever. The tabs are also cleared and the secrecy of your vote is guaranteed. There are two ways of voting a split ticket on the machine. Let's suppose most of the candidates you select belong to one political party. First, pull the operating lever to the opposite position. Next, pull the party lever of that party, which includes the majority of your chosen candidates. Then push up the pointer where you wish to vote for another candidate, and pull down the pointer of your new choice. Before you make a new choice, make sure all the pointers for that office are pushed up. Otherwise, the machine will not allow you to vote for your new choice. Now you have made your selection, but you have not yet voted. You cast your vote only when you pull the operating lever back to its original position. Your vote is then cast, the voting panel is cleared, the curtain is opened, and the booth is ready for the next voter. With the other method of voting a split ticket, you disregard the party lever and make your selections directly from the various parties by pushing down the individual pointers. For a write-in vote, lift the slide above the office and write in the name.
Hello?
Hi, this is Josh from Get Out the Vote USA. How are you today?
Fine, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. We're calling voters
I already voted, so bye.
Hello?
Oh, hi.
Who is
this? Is my name is Josh. I'm calling from Get Out the Vote USA, calling voters today to make sure you have a plan to vote. See if you need any help getting to the polls.
I'm not old enough to vote.
Really? You sound a little bit older.
I'm 17.
Okay, well, maybe there's someone else in your household who
I'm voting
talk.
Trump.
Well, you just said you weren't old enough to...
Hello?
Hi, may I speak to Trisha?
They don't live here, so...
Okay, well, thanks for your time. Have a great one.
Hello?
Hi, my name is Josh. I'm calling from Get
Don't
Out the
call
Vote
me
US...
anymore.
Hello?
Hi, may I speak with Derek?
This is he.
I'm calling from Get Out the Vote USA. How are
I'm
you
doing
today?
okay. How are you?
We're calling voters today to make sure you have a plan to vote.
Can you hold on?
If you need any help, get to the polls. So
You need the wrench?
Yeah, what's wrong?
Yeah, it's there.
Where?
By the oil.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
no problem. Have you voted yet?
No, I haven't voted yet, no.
All right. Well, do you have a plan to vote?
Give me one second. Michael, be careful, man.
Is this a...
Be careful. This will...
I'm being careful. Don't worry about it. I'm good.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Do you have a plan to vote? Maybe this is a bad time.
I don't have a plan. No, I don't. I've been thinking,
Okay.
I'm a bit undecided if I'm being...
Really?
Michael!
Well, do you mind
Michael,
if
no! Michael! Oh my God, Michael! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God, Michael! Is he dead?
I don't know.
Richard!
What?
Richard, call the ambulance.
You can't?
No, I'm on the. I can't call him right now. I'm on the phone.
Oh my God.
Well, call the ambulance.
Derek?
I'm so sorry.
Derek, are you there?
What were you saying?
Do you need me to call someone, Derek? Do you need me to call an ambulance, 911? Is everything
Hello?
okay? Yeah, Derek.
This is he.
Is everything okay?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Can you hold on?
this right?
You need the wrench?
Yeah, where's the wrench?
Yeah, it's there.
Where?
By the oil.
Okay.
Sorry about that. No, I haven't voted yet. No. Give me one second. Michael, be careful, man.
Oh, yeah.
Be
Hello?
Hi, my name is Josh. I'm calling from Get Out the Vote USA. We're calling voters today to make sure you have a plan to vote.
I'm doing whatever Ilana Glazer's doing.
Okay. Well, do you need a ride to the polls tomorrow?
Actually, yeah, I'll take a ride.
Really? Awesome. Well, let's get you set up!
And the hours of registration are from 9 to 5 until this Friday. Be sure to register so you can vote.
The preceding was a presentation of the West Side Civic Club. Well, you can go to the registrar or voter's office in the courthouse. But it just so happens that the deputy registration officers will be in your neighborhood next Tuesday afternoon. Would you prefer that I have them call at your house?
But I registered when we moved here last year. Do I have to register again?
You must register before you can vote. You can register with your neighborhood deputy registrar, or you can register at your local courthouse in the office of the Registrar of Voters.
May I help you?
Is this where I register to vote?
Yes. Have you ever voted in the county before?
No, I just moved here the first of the year.
Have you lived in the state for the last 6 months?
Yes.
Have you lived in the county for the past 60 days?
Yes.
Have you lived in your precinct for the last 30 days?
Yes.
All states have residence requirements. Such requirements vary from state to state.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching. This is Theater in Quarantine, and you just tuned in to Closet Works Volume 6, I believe. Volume 7 is coming up in 4 weeks. Before then, we have a new piece by Madeline George, created by Katie Rose McLaughlin, Roger Feather Kelly, also Chris Bell, who I believe is lurking somewhere in the chat. It's going to be a very special new piece, which is being created with Culture Hub as part of their experiments in digital storytelling. I am Joshua William Gelb. Thanks again for watching. We also, I can't thank you all enough for tuning in. I hope you'll subscribe so you can get more info on our upcoming projects. I am going to try and get Katie Rose McLaughlin and Sunny Hitt and Veronica Jiao into a Zoom chat so we can all talk to you and answer any questions that you have, and just throw them in the chat. We also have a lot of great links in the description, so please check them out. It's a very important 24 hours here, so hold on one sec while I attempt to get things connected and hope it works a little bit better than it did at the 7 p.m. because we had some trouble. But let us see. Yes, so that's on November 16th. Then we have another Closet Works, and then on December 14th, we have a new piece by Heather Christian, which I hope you'll join us for. In the meantime, subscribe. We also have a Fractured Atlas link in the description a little further down. If you'd like to make a donation, we'd appreciate anything you had to offer. All right, I believe I am very close to making this work. And let's see. We have luck. It is working. Katie Rose, would you mind saying hello?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. Yes, success. So allow me to introduce our guest choreographers for the evening. This is the first time we've ever had 2 guest choreographers in one night. We have Sunny Hitt here and Veronica Jiao. Katie Rose, I'm going to have just a bit of bourbon, and would you mind introducing our guest choreographers?
Love. I mean, you already did so well, but Veronica and Sunny, it's just such a pleasure to have you both here. Veronica made the first piece, Sunny made the last piece, I made the piece in the middle. Yeah, just such a joy. Josh, that sticker is just so good.
It's a good sticker.
It's such a good sticker. How was your voting experience? I don't think we ever talked about that.
No,
when did you go?
A couple days ago, I had 45 minutes off and was like, yeah, I'll just check it out. I knew it's like 4 blocks away from my place. So I was like, okay, I'll check out, see if there was a line. And there wasn't. It was just like a billion volunteers, all so wonderful. The poll workers were amazing and got me through like that. So I was back in time for rehearsal.
Wow. Good. Well, you would have had a good excuse not to be on time. But...
Yeah. Although I do have to say, the pens leave something to be desired,
I love them. What are you talking about?
They're fun. The click isn't that great. See, it gets a little stuck.
Oh.
A little stuck. It's fine. They're not pen makers.
The fact that they opened, I was like, oh, I got a thing to press the thing. And then when I was like, oh shit, I need a pen. Yeah. And then I was like, and then it comes out of the thing?
Yeah, the nub is fabulous.
I'm using the word thing and not using any other words. What?
The nub. I love the nub.
Yeah.
The stylus? The stylus
I think
nub?
Yeah. I think it's good to have I'm going to go into euphemisms now. 9 o'clock show. Here we are. This is the time where we talk about the pieces and our experiences. Veronica, I would love to know a little bit more about your piece, where it came from, and also about your experiences making this piece of work on Josh and in the closet and all that good stuff.
Yes. I just realized that I didn't say anything in the first talk back that I actually wanted to say about this. So the second talk back. Yeah. Well, you called me and you knew that I had been wanting to make work that isn't purely improv based, which is what I usually do. So this is my first non-improv work. I mean, the process involved improv, of course, but everything that Josh is doing is set for the most part. And also, you told me the date and I asked if it needed to be voting related and you're like, no. And I had found out like 2 or 3 days before that, or maybe the week before, I don't know, that I am way more Filipino than I thought. I thought I was going to have more Spanish and more Chinese in me, but I only have like 2% of that in me, or like 1% or less. And I was like, I'm almost indigenous. And so kind of the little seedling for this piece was actually this idea of some Josh portrayed as this oppressive force or this power, and me playing with scale to show that kind of taking back of power and taking back of identity as well, especially at the end with the armies, which is actually a IG and Instagram lens. And then the strobe, I realized, is very similar to a TikTok filter as well. Yeah, cool. But they're the little seedlings of that.
Lovely. And how was it working on, because you mostly do your work on your own body, how was it working with not only, another performer, but Josh, who, Josh is a fantastic dancer, not a dancer by trade.
That was interesting, and it was challenging at first because I realized when I first made the movement that I was picturing the movement on my body instead of Josh's, and all of these movements of power read so differently on me, and when they came out on Josh, they became more I don't know how to describe it, but it wasn't a type of powerful that I wanted. It was more of like this confidence that I have here, and I know what I'm doing. And then
you have
for
a much
me,
stronger power pose than I do. That is for certain.
Yeah, it's just I think it's just the way that you move, and so the character that you're portraying went from this like angry, you still have that moment of anger in the strobe, but it started out as this like very serious oppressor type, and then it kind of shifted to this kind of like dopey, like, well, I'm here and I own the place. It doesn't matter what anybody says about it.
And that is not inaccurate in many cases.
Right.
No.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, that feels even more like that is, yeah. That, yes. Mm-hmm.
Dopies.
Yeah,
a bunch of dopes.
Dopes, yeah. Yeah. With that in mind, that's where the title "I'd Steal the World for You" comes from. I mentioned this earlier. A student of mine told me a joke. Hey, Miss Veronica, are you Christopher Columbus? And I was like, what? And they're like, because I'd steal the world for you. So when I picture Christopher Columbus, I picture him as like, first of all, because he didn't know where he was and he thought that he had discovered something. So there's that. And then there's also, our president who spews all of these things, which is where this gesture comes from, which is his hair kind of flying in the wind with his confidence underneath. So again, two little nuggets there.
Amazing. Sunny, I would love to hear from you a little bit about where your piece came from. And again, like challenges, successes, working in the closet in this like new medium.
Yeah. So the idea for the piece came from my real life experience phone banking in the last month and a half. And I was calling voters in North Carolina, and I got a hold of someone who was clearly at work and was definitely too busy to talk to me, but I was trying to get through the script. I was trying to like be a good phone banker and keep the conversation going. And there was clearly like some conversation going on with the coworker that I probably shouldn't have been overhearing. And at some point, I just abandoned the script entirely, and I was completely wrapped in the drama that was going on at the workplace. And it became very clear that something terrible happened. And I was confused. I was like, maybe I should hang up, but I'm very intrigued. I want to find out what happens. I'm entertained right now. I've been bored making calls where people are hanging up on me, no one's picking up, or they're rude or whatever. And at some point, the call started again from the beginning. And I realized a few minutes into this experience that I was listening to a very elaborate robocall, a very elaborate audio play that was there for me.
Was your heart beating faster? Like what like physical, like what was happening to you while you like thought that this like serious event had happened? And also that this person like was just like, no, I want to keep talking to you, even though like this person died.
They like put the phone down. At one point they put the phone down. So when that happened and sort of shit was going on in the background, I think at that point I kind of knew that something wasn't right about it, but I was still invested. It's like you start a TV show and you want to find out what happens to the end, even if it's kind of a crappy show. I was like, I think this is not quite right, but I am going to stay on and find out. And then it was confirmed for me, but I wanted to play with that a little bit with Josh. And I want to shout out Brooks Allison. I don't know, Brooks, if you're still in the chat, but he did the voiceover work, creating those different characters and kind of recreating this experience that I had the pleasure of enjoying.
I'm just reading the chats now, and everyone seemed to really like us talking about the Nubby pen.
Well, yeah. Performance comes in the strangest ways at us these days. It's not the conventional anymore. I guess I'm interested in. So Veronica, you spoke a little bit about how my body ended up kind of shifting some of the intentionality that you originally came in. Are there any other ways for both of you, and Katie Rose, you can always speak to this too, that the piece shifted from what you came in with to what we ended up with?
Yeah. Well, I came in with just those three images in my head, three visuals in my head of the Instagram lens, which I had played with literally that first day of rehearsal, like 30 minutes before. And I was like, I want to do this. I had a strobe in my head. Originally, it was supposed to be red and blue for the Filipino flag. And then I was like, hold on, context. I didn't want it to be like I didn't want it to be like the American flag. And I didn't want it to be reminiscent of cop lights either. So we took that away. And then the first image of me knocking the box, that was something that I came in with too, but I didn't know how those were going to develop or how it was all going to tie in until we got to working. Yeah, so it's cool that I could just come in with those and we could process and come out with something that kind of had an arc.
Yeah.
And tied together, yeah.
What about you, Sunny?
Repeat the question.
I don't know. So how did we either meet your expectations or shift your expectations of what you came in thinking you were going to do?
Yeah, I feel like my expectations were met. I mean, I had a dream of a balloon drop, we were able to do. It was like
it's been really finicky today.
Yeah, I know. You know, those two balloons, they were ready for the jump. Those other ones were napping there. Yeah. They'll come down later while you're sleeping. No, I feel like this was a little bit of a departure from like what I might normally do. I think because of the circumstances that we're in, the timing of it being, election day tomorrow, I feel like many of us unemployed performance and theater folk, we are eager to get back to work, but eager to get back to work safely. And I think I think I can speak for us in saying that part of our drive to like be active right now is to elect people who will help us get back to work sooner and safer. And I think I've just been in a place of like any opportunity any sort of platform or microphone that I have to like talk about civic engagement, because it's not about like, oh, I have no ideas, but they all sort of circle back to that. It sort of feels like every path kind of like leads back to that in the maze. And I've learned that during this time, I have to set very manageable goals for myself. So, whether that's just like doing the basics every day. Thank you, Katie Rose, for, reminding me that I need to eat. So I like had a snack, and, it's like, so with the restrictions and the possibilities of the closet, like, I just had this, it was really just like, I want to recreate this delightful experience that I had, maybe hopefully inspire a few people to like take some action in the next 24 hours. And I think we've met those goals.
Yay.
I hope so. We've got a question from Chris. Chris is interested in how I, as the performer, deal with performing perspectives when the video we see is turned in another direction visually compared to the actual body in space. Well, Chris, I'm sure you're probably going to learn about this pretty quickly. But
Chris is going to be a performer in our next piece, which is very exciting.
But suffice to say, it was really one of the first things we figured out in the closet, and in many ways part of why we got so excited about it and kept working in this capacity here. Very early on, after I had spruced it up and painted it, I got together with Katie Rose and another theater maker, John Levin, and we started messing around with some clown and with this gas mask I happened to have. And then very quickly, we realized something wasn't quite working, and we ended up turning it on, or like everyone turned their computers onto their sides.
Literally, we picked up our laptops and set them all like a book on the table.
And suddenly I did the entire scene sideways. And it instantly became a much more engaging way of dealing with the space. And soon after that, we did a lot of pre-recorded work where it was all done in an editing software. We would, improvise and or choreograph something and then start flipping it around in post and seeing what was interesting. And then we worked to figure out how to do that live. And we have done pieces where it's been literally done live as an improvisation and responding to where it could be. It's more of an exercise than anything, but it does exist. But now we give, I get cues in my ear telling me when the box is moving, and from there I just start. You get very comfortable with the closet, and you learn what's up and what's down at any given moment.
Is there, because you're actually so great at that. Is there in your brain while we're working in a new gravity, so anytime the box is rotated, are you thinking about what we're seeing, or are you thinking about the physical acts that you're doing? Like, are you thinking I'm laying down on the floor with my legs on the wall, or are you seeing?
I'm seeing what you're seeing for certain. There was a very tiny gesture today in your piece that I was very upset with myself with. I think I was on the floor very early on at the beginning, and I just let my hands kind of fall with gravity to my body, and I was like, no, that's not right. And it was so small, maybe no one noticed. I noticed, it's something I've become extremely attuned to in terms of how the space moves.
It's quite beautiful and quite, it speaks to how what a great mover you are, that you can, sort of intellectualize the changing gravity of this space and also figure out what that means physically for yourself, while also like literally laying down on the ground with your feet up. And like we, Josh and I made a whole piece that has literally changing gravities continuously. And always you're like perfectly in that world of gravity. There's never a moment of you being like, I don't like, it's pretty insane and completely delightful.
You drink enough as I do, and you barely know which way is up at any given moment. But we do have another question. Ooh, a series of questions. Oh, this is a lot. Okay, here we go, everyone. This is from B. Branham. I've never gotten used to figuring out how to like say people's screen names.
It's B. Branham.
There we go. Great.
Very.
Thank you all. I'm thinking back to Veronica's recap of the convo you two had when it came to finessing context images for the piece. I've seen 2 TiQ shows now. Awesome. And I'm curious as to how much these kinds of conversations are a part of the process. Anyone want to jump in there?
I think, well, I feel like the next 2 questions kind of go hand in hand with this.
Oh, okay, I'll read them out loud. On the whole, if that's even possible to grasp, how has the TiQ series embraced site-specific specificity or site responsiveness beyond responding to architecture, etc.? Or how has the series become a way to explore questions about social networks and the act of coming together to make work these days? Wait, there's more. How have y'all's understanding of performance expanded as this series has progressed? That's huge. That's a lot of question.
I think I'm going to answer the last question first.
Great.
My understanding of performance. Also, the person asking this question has an amazing video on Instagram that is talking about dance and performance in general and shifting it for the context of the time and what that means and creating actual magic with that. So y'all should go watch that. And I can understand where this question is coming from. I said this in the first talk back, how this mode of performance has become like the new normal for me, or what I consider performance. And a lot of people that I've talked to, and I feel like all of us intersect theater, like musical theater world. A lot of people in that community are so devastated. And I feel like it's not very common all the time for people to be exposed to like this kind of theater and see it as something that is performing in the same way. And maybe it doesn't need to be the same, but it's still performing. And I think it's fulfilling in a different way that people don't realize until they actually do it. That's my 0.5 answer to the 5 questions.
Yeah, totally. Sunny, do you want to do you see the questions? Do you have one that speaks to you that you might like to answer?
Yeah, I guess I'll answer that last one and maybe a little bit of the one that comes before it, about social networks and the act of coming together. Okay. Yeah, I want to be honest and say that I have personally struggled a little bit with feeling comfortable creating in this way. Staring at screens for long periods of time is not something that I am used to. I am not someone who uses TikTok. Feel free to at me. Maybe one day I'll learn.
I don't either.
I have not felt, yeah, and I guess like as artists, we're always working with certain restrictions, right? Okay, you only have, you know, a 6x6 foot space to work with. The stage is raked. You're performing outside and there's light rain, or whatever the thing may be. So I think that we are trained to be adaptable and to think on the fly. And so we're primed to kind of do a pivot turn and say, all right, here's what I know how to do. I have time, I'm willing to teach myself these things. And so I think at first, like going into this time at home, I felt I really pulled back from creating. Like it was like dead stop for me. I kind of froze, and I'm very grateful to, you know, people like you two creating the space, creating an opportunity, saying, no, this is actually possible, and we can simulate a rehearsal room, we can simulate a working environment that we understand, that we're used to, and it's going to be in this format now. And look how exciting that is. And now, having experienced it, I'm like, yeah, it is really exciting. And now I want to see what else is possible. I hope that answered some of those questions.
I love that. Also, like, this as simulation of a real rehearsal room is my favorite new thing. I love that. Yeah, I think, is it Barry, Veronica? Yeah. I think for me, so much of this comes out of the fact that I live alone. And so for many months, I really didn't see people in person. And that's where a lot of this comes from, is some desire for connection. And I think it's telling when you talk about, you know, finessing context or images. It is so interesting that our first, you know, batch of shows in the spring and summer were so much about isolation and what it means to grapple with confines or grapple with self. And a lot of what we're doing right now in the fall is what it means to comprehend the fact that there are other people out there. And maybe we can't exactly reach them all the time, but they are there. And maybe we're in conflict with them some of the time. But yeah, I do think it's something we think about often, and very much is continually evolving as we go, and is equally inspired. As I said to Katie Rose earlier today, there's something, what I love about the work we do here is there is no strict process in terms of what comes first. You know, as theater artists, so often, you know, a text comes first and then you work from there. You know, here, the fact that I can hang a chair on a wall sometimes comes first. And or the fact that we, you know, can bring in a collaborator, and we don't always know what's going to inspire us when, and or what is going to, or when something is going to talk to something else. And so that's been really exciting and has been upending my, you know, preconceptions of how to make work. And anyway, just really grateful to all of you again for being part of that.
Yeah, that's so beautifully put. We, you know, value experimentation and play above all else here, which is, like Sunny was saying, just not something that fits into the traditional like theater model where you have a week for choreo and then that's it. Good luck. You can like note the shit out of the show, but like other than that, that's all you got. So this feels exciting to make work, to not only make work that feels now and feels necessary and feels needed, but also that is created in the way it needs to be created, not within a specific like well, this is the way we make things, so we're going to make things this way. It's just like, what does this piece need? Let's figure out how to build it based off of what the piece needs, not how you traditionally build shows, which is exciting.
I think that answers also what you just said. Sorry, Josh.
No, go ahead.
I think that answers AJ's question. Very AJ. He has lots of names. Of site specificity versus site responsiveness. I think that this definitely goes beyond like site specific. If you want to get into like, language.
Well,
yeah,
it's
that's all I gotta say about that.
It's site specific. I mean, I think it's speaking of your piece, Veronica, it's funny because I think we sort of did a fun 360 here. So much of the work that was done and remains being done these days is Zoom based. It's a lot of performers engaging, very virtually with one another. And in general, like you sit in this frame right here. And what I miss is an actual interaction, right? And not just an emotional interaction, but a tangible physical interaction for a performer to like grab something, and that's really what the
that
closet.
Was so thrilling.
It's like that's what the closet afforded us, is the ability to like give weight to something, and it's hilarious coming back to. I have a car alarm now. It's hilarious coming back to. To working with remote partners and trying to find a way to maintain that tangibility. And Veronica, your piece is a really good example. It's like, how can we get you to impact the closet itself? And I think that's phase 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's 10 o'clock. Which means we should probably wind things down because, well, it's a big day tomorrow. And I'm hoping all of you have voted. And if you haven't, you probably should have. Or you should tomorrow.
Yeah.
So let's do some...
To rest up, we gotta drink our water. We gotta sign up for those phone banking shifts.
Absolutely.
We're gonna call Georgia all day tomorrow.
We've got great links in the description below. And you should send pizza to everyone. Everybody. Yes. Everyone want to do some final thoughts? Just final thoughts. All right. Katie Rose, you begin. Yeah.
And,
I know. No one wants to be the first final thought.
No one wants to be the first final thoughts. Yeah. So just drink a lot of water. Take care of yourself. When you're feeling overwhelmed, just shake it off, shake out your shoulders and shake out your butt and shake out your head and you'll feel better. And then you can come back to it. You'll be ready to go. Yes, take care of yourself first and foremost. That's quite important. Text bank, phone bank. If you can, phone bank. If you can't, that's also fine. Text banking is great. Yeah, pizza to the polls, so fun. Especially if you're voting, all you have to do is a picture and they'll send pizza, which is so great. And then we also have some information about protecting the polls. If you see anything fishy, please report it. I will also personally say, if you need any help tomorrow, get into the polls, give me a call. I'm around. Just let me know how I can help you. What else? Other final thoughts? That's it. Take care of yourself, drink some water, shake it out, vote. Oh, also get some, if you can, I know I have so many final thoughts.
That's so many final thoughts.
It's like final monologue is what I'm doing right now. Last but not least, if you please can call someone that either you know really well or maybe you don't know quite as well, and reach out and encourage them to vote, especially if they're in a swing state, but regardless, This is the perfect opportunity to reach out to that person that you don't talk to very often, from high school, from middle school, from somewhere, you know, the person that was in that one show you did in Louisiana that one time. This is the perfect time to reach out to them. Connection is much needed in these times of great disconnect. And yeah, and that would be, yeah, thank you. Please and thank you.
Yeah. Sunny.
Okay. Co-sign everything that Katie Rose just said, and you're probably getting a ton of texts from different organizations. You know, just like we encouraged you to phone bank and text bank, you're probably on the receiving end of those. And I encourage you to pick up the phone and talk to that person, because there's a human on the other end of that phone. I encourage you to respond to those text messages. You know, oftentimes when you're text banking, you have an only certain types of responses that the texter can respond to you. But if you tell them, thank you for your work, you're doing a great job, and I appreciate you, it means so much to the volunteers that are doing that work. So just, you know, send that response. You know, I think that if we can go into tomorrow with some excitement and some joy as much as possible, and it comes from those interactions, then we'll be able to get through it.
Thank you. Veronica.
Take a nap. Take a nap. Hydrate. And I would say reach out to a person that you know is going to be watching the polls very, very closely and is going to be stressed, and send them funny videos. Because pretty much all of my friends are going to be watching like closely. And for me, I'm like, I will check in every few hours, but I'll mostly be checking in with y'all. Because that's where I'm at right now. Like I said, my election anxiety has not yet peaked, but it'll hit, just hasn't yet.
Well, my final thoughts are simply a thank you to all of you. Katie Rose, Veronica, Sunny, thank you all so much for joining us this week. And thank you to everyone out there who tuned in this week. It's a big night and a big day tomorrow. I wish you well. I wish that you stay strong. And again, just echoing everything that was said tonight. This is Theater in Quarantine. We're going to be back in 2 weeks. And in the meantime, we just cross our fingers that the world doesn't end. Be well, be strong. Gosh, what a downer. Blah. At least we have these cool nub pens. Have a good night.
Nub, nub.
Nub, nub.
In the office of the Registrar of Voters.
May I help you?
Is this where I register to vote?
Yes. Have you ever voted in the county before?
No, I just moved here the first of the year.
Have you lived in the state for the last 6 months?
Yes.
Have you lived in the county for the past 60 days?
Yes.
Have you lived in your precinct for the last 30 days?
Yes.
All states have residence requirements. Such requirements vary from state to state.
Your name?
David B. Collins.
And your address?
617 Northside Drive.
You're in Precinct 7 and your polling place is Maple Grove School. Where were you born?
Dayton, Ohio.
Your age?
42.
Sign on this line.
When you sign the registration form, you testify that the information on the form is correct. With your signature, this form becomes the official record of your qualification to vote. Loss of registration results from changing your residence and in some states from failure to vote or from the periodic expiration of the registration list. If for any of these reasons you lose your registration, you must re-register. When you cannot register in person, you may register by mail. Upon application, a registration form is mailed to you. When properly filled out and returned to the registrar, it is entered with the other official registration records. These individual records are used to make up the voting list. Only the persons whose names are on the completed voting list are qualified to receive a ballot on Election Day. Ballots may be different in color, size, shape, and detail from state to state, but the ballot you receive on Election Day will probably be one of two general types: the party column type, sometimes called the Indiana ballot, or the office group type, sometimes called the Massachusetts ballot. On paper ballots of the office group type, the candidates are listed under the heading of the office they are seeking. Their party affiliations usually follow their names. On the voting machine, the office heading is also above the name of the party candidate. However, on the party column ballot, you will find a different arrangement. On this type of ballot, the candidates' names are listed in a column under their party heading. This arrangement of candidates' names is the same as on the voting machine, except that on the paper ballot, the party column reads vertically. On the machine panel, the party column reads horizontally. The details of marking ballots vary from state to state. However, instructions